As you hopefully know by now, so I am the Chief People Officer at Threads. I'm also a lead trainer for the Agile HR community, and I do quite a lot of talks around things like business agility and psychological safety, and also psychology in general. So this was a talk that I put together and presented at one of the HiBob events, and it's 10 minutes long. It's got some really juicy things in there from a sort of a psychological angle when it comes to performance. So I thought, why not record it and share it with everyone? So for the next 10 minutes, I will talk about the psychology of performance. It's the cliff notes. We only have 10 minutes. You have to trust that there is much theory behind these rules that I'm going to talk to you about. I spent a number of years studying and practicing organisational psychology and psychology in general. So I've gone through all the dry reading, all the years of assignments, so that you get to skip to the good stuff. So let's just set the scene before we go in. What do we mean by high performance? Well, there's two categories, really. You've got individual performance and then you've got team performance. Now, high performance is contextual, but it can be generalised as results that are much better than expected. So someone is high performance when they are generating results much better than expected. I have two examples on the screen here of high performance. Team performance in particular, so you have an orchestra. Now, you know when they're not working well together because it sounds awful, and you know when it's that beautiful music that they make. The second one is a sports team. You know when they work together, they win. When they're not working cohesively, they will not win. And in the workplace, we tend to see it as that frictionless efficiency, or that team that's able to just produce so much more value at pace. And then we have individual performance, which is really about you as the individual and what you can deliver. So I'm going to start with individual performance, and we're going to talk about some myths. So myth number one, money motivates. Does money motivate? I expect some of you have teams, or maybe you yourselves have monetary bonuses for better performance. Money is an example of an extrinsic motivator, i.e. something outside of ourselves. It's tangible, we can hold on to it, we can go and purchase it. And research has shown that for roles that are about, repetitive, manual or low cognition work, so these sort of maybe the administrator ones where it's just very clear what the workload is, box packers, things like that, builders, bartenders, IT service desk, the answer is yes. More money means more work, because you can just increase the speed that you're able to deliver. However, the research also shows that in work classified as complex or high cognitive load, which is a lot of Thread stuff, for example, getting clients to reactivate after not spending money, figuring out the next software feature, working out the company's strategy, and what happens, when we can't hit our targets, even some of those more complex Thread style issues we have where it just doesn't seem to make any sense. Well, performance actually drops when you try and incentivize and put the pressure on those complex and ambiguous challenges with money. So when you incentivize with something that's extrinsic in those situations, the performance will go down. And secondly, a team incentivized with a short and a long-term goal will always favor the short-term goal due to a phenomenon called hyperbolic discounting. An example is a sales team who get offered triple commission on selling a particular item and their yearly target for sales. They will choose the triple commission every time. They will always focus on that near-term point. This phenomenon also affects people's ability to value or engage with longer-term benefits like pensions, even though we all know that we're going to need them. Myth number two, people don't perform because some people are just lazy. We should all remember theory X and Y, the carrot and the stick. It's been disproven from the 60s, thank you very much. Yet it still crops up throughout our work. Traditional performance management is a great example of the stick approach. Someone isn't performing, so get the sanction stick out and give them a warning. Google did a big research project called Project Oxygen, which you may have heard about, and they found that actually 90% of people who didn't deliver the performance expected of them didn't actually know what they were supposed to be doing. So it's always key that if you have someone who appears to be underperforming, that you check whether or not you set the expectations. And if you speak to any HR person, they will be able to list off a number of times where they've gone in to have that difficult conversation with someone, maybe put them on a capability process, and the person has had no idea that this is happening to them. It is completely unexpected. That is because the manager has not set the expectations correctly. First step of that, having a role profile. Second step of that, having a one-to-one, delivering feedback, telling them in the moment when it's not working. Third step, doing your performance management, reviews, processes, things like that. If you want people to perform, try to set expectations in the form of short-term goals that are achievable, and if they're unachievable, they will switch off. Myth number 3. When it comes to feedback, more is more. Feedback is the gift that keeps on giving, right? Not quite. Research shows that there is a sweet spot for managers to deliver formal feedback, and surprise, surprise, it is not yearly, or weekly, or quarterly, it is monthly. Once a month, formal feedback session. How am I doing? Give me some feedback. However, the best type of feedback is the feedback in the flow of work, which is not as formal and allows the individual to link it with the action and the effect in the immediate moment. This is the best type. All right, let's talk about team performance. So some golden truths of team performance here. Your team is your orchestra and should play a beautiful tune together. But how to get to that? Well, there is a lot of research on team dynamics. Fran and I specialise in team dynamics. Even research around when a group becomes a team, to the specific makeup of that team. And I've tried to condense it here in a pithy way that is helpful for you. So rule number 1, hopefully you recognise this graphic. It is better when we like each other. Humanising our co-workers and building empathy for them helps us trust their decisions and means we're more likely to compromise. Additionally, trust has the biggest impact on any change-related action. So going out for coffee with someone is going to make a difference. It's going to make your life better. They're going to compromise on more decisions and agree with you. So it does pay to like each other and get to know each other. Rule number 2. Your leadership team should match your business type and environment. So we know about diversity. We know diversity is important. Diversity here relates to the different companies, the experiences and expertise of your leaders. So when you are hiring in your team, you're building out the strengths of your team. Don't just go for everyone from NAP. Don't just go for everyone who's got luxury experience, because you're missing a trick. We operate in a very disruptive environment. And if you work in a disruptive sector or business, you require a bigger leadership team normally to manage your business through. And the reason for that is that you have so many different data points to process that they can't all be in the area of expertise of that small group of people. So you really do need a diverse range of backgrounds and experiences to work together. So it is that team strength-based approach that you're trying to work towards. So in terms of disruption, we are a business working with disruption. We cause disruption. Bigger really is better. Be ready though, because diversity brings conflict and you need to navigate through that by building trust. There are 2 types of conflict. One is good for innovation. It's called task conflict, and one is bad, which is on the left. It's called relationship conflict, which is when you don't like each other, and we don't want that. Rule number 3. It might sound boring, but knowing what your role is in a decision or a project is critical to a frictionless experience where you don't step on people. Use Rapid or RACI. Take the time to workshop it, because it's the decision in the workshop that makes the difference, not the project manager sitting behind a screen filling in a spreadsheet. It's the experience of going through that conflict together and resolving it builds more empathy. So, ask Fran to do a rapid workshop with you. If you're going to put the RACI together, make sure you actually take the time to discuss what the RACI means. It's very important because you're getting that in the moment commitment from people. All right, final topic, teaming. Need to form a team, but don't have a lot of time to get them to deliver above average results. Don't worry. Let me introduce the concept of teaming, which is this idea of you pulling groups of people together, making them into a team, getting them through that Tuckman team build, team development stages very quickly, and then setting them off. So agencies will charge you thousands of pounds to do this for your team, and they're the experts, where Fran and I trained. Because for every new client you get in an agency, they have to form a new team to work on it. So you have to be very quick, because time is money, to get people to that point where they are performing within sometimes 24 hours of meeting each other for the first time. The trick is to hack the empathy that builds over time. So there are workshops or sessions that we can run, such as the famous boom board session that Fran brought to us that we know and love, which helped to build trust and give backstory. The rapid and racy workshops help too, because the team like to feel that they've achieved something together and they get to test their boundaries in a safe way. All right, so takeaways. 3 things really to walk away from this session with. Money does not improve performance in complex situations or when the target feels too distant. Team building and events are critical for performance. That coffee is very important, that dinner, that cocktail, all of those things do make a difference, do make the effort to get to know people, learn about their dog. And your leadership teams and your teams in general should be right-sized and right-shaped for the type of business and what you need to deliver. It is not okay to have everybody with the same type of experience, because your team will underperform. Thank you very much.